Ah, the sounds of the holiday.
Ho, ho, ho.
Because when you open a College Savings Iowa account, you're giving a child the gift of education to help pay for college and trade schools. You get a tax break and peace of mind for whatever's ahead. Register before December 31st, and you could be one of 2 lucky winners to get $5,290. College Savings Iowa. Sounds like success. Visit collegesavingsiowa.com today. Administered by the State Treasurer of Iowa.
Becoming your strongest financial self? Good plan. Northwestern Mutual's Guide to Good Financial Planning can help you balance spending and saving, set goals, and start creating the life you want to be living. Get it today at northwesternmutual.com/goodplan. The Northwestern Mutual Life Insurance Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
At Bet365, we don't do ordinary. We believe that every sport should be epic. Every touchdown, every game, every point, every play. From the moments that are legendary to the ones that fly under the radar. Whether it's a 99-yard pass to score a touchdown or a fumble in the first minute of the game. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only. Must be present in Iowa. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-BETS-OFF. Terms and conditions apply.
It's your last chance to check everything off your list at NFM. Get savings in every department. Shop in-stock gifts like toys, electronics, appliances, and furniture. NFM gift cards make amazing presents. Save time with drive-thru pickup. Get 30-month financing on qualifying appliance, TV, and audio purchases. And 24-month financing store-wide at NFM. Store closing early Christmas Eve and close Christmas. Visit NFM for your chance to win a Tesla Model Y. Minimum monthly payments required, 18% APR. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
You hear that? That's the sound of millions of people panicking to get gifts. But not you, because you're getting all your gifts this year on Drizzly, the go-to app for drink delivery. Drizzly lets you send beer, wine, and spirits to almost anywhere in as little as 60 minutes, or scheduled up to 2 weeks in advance, making it the ultimate gifting hack for the holidays. Download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com. That's DRIZLY.com. Must be 21 plus, not available in all locations.
Looking for a fun way to win 25 times your money this football and basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projection for a wide variety of stats, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and injury insurance on your picks are what make Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the Prize Picks community of more than 7 million players who have already signed up. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/play100 and use code PLAY100. That's code PLAY100 at prizepicks.com/play100 for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
Hello, this is international football commentator Derek Ray, and you're listening to the Ranks FC podcast.
We're a couple of weeks in now and the season is alive, so it's time for a classic. Welcome back to 5x5, Europe's biggest leagues, and our predictions for the season with a lot of head, a lot of heart, and hopefully some reason. The transfer window slammed shut, lots of deals, steals and loans, while Steve Parish asked the big question, who is Dean Jones? City kicked us off, bringing home the big man Erling, and Chelsea's new money ownership put their trust in Sterling. In Rome, La Gioia arrived, sparkling in the dark, while Galtier took the reins over at the park. Campos at the tiller, a new midfield secured. They're back at Nice. They grabbed themselves a Premier League hoard. United brought Ten Hag in and he wanted FDJ, but Frenkie was going nowhere. His radar set to stay. Arteta's collecting Gabbies. In Jesus, he felt redeemed, while Forest bought, well, everyone. Well, that's the way it seemed. Louis traded Bayern for Barcelona, with Mane taking his place, and many set to wondering if it could spark a title race. That wasn't all in Catalonia. Barca's hunger wasn't sated. Koundé, Rafinha, Kessié in as the levers were activated. Real Madrid went early and went big for Tchouaméni, a young, brilliant number 6. Now they're not to a penny. Liverpool hoped the Darwin would aid their evolution, whilst at Old Trafford it's Brazilian flair that will lead their revolution. The homecoming started flowing, with Big Rom going back to Inter. and Pogba returning to Juve, hoping to end their trophyless winter, and Werner returning to Leipzig, where his fallen star did rise, and Conte linked up with Perisic again, to nobody's surprise. Dortmund bought new centre-backs and an old face in the hot seat, while Milan went hard for CDK and the Belgian sparkling feet. Some big names went stateside. Insigne, Chiellini, Bale on the move, and Fiorentina bought Luka Jovic, a man with a point to prove. There were storylines for everyone, but as the dressing rooms were furnished, the football began again, not on paper, but in earnest. We saw shock results and upsets as we struggled to know who was good, who was bad, and who had simply started slow. But as negotiations have concluded and we've seen everyone play, it's time for our predictions to turn black and white from grey. Who will make the top rungs of the ladders, who this season will thrive. Let's get into this, Rank Squad. It's time for 5x5. Hello, Rank Squad, and welcome to Ranks FC. This is your favourite football podcast, back again for another week and back again for a classic. My name is Jack Collins, and I'll be your host today. And joining me is the Rank God, Mr. Sam Ty. How you doing, mate?
Who is Dean Jones?
Who is Dean Jones? Well, the big question is, who is Dean Jones? Dean Jones, can you answer this question?
Well, I am Dean Jones, so I can tell you that much. So hello, if you're listening to the first time, just to find out.
I'm Dean Jones as well. Sam, are you Dean Jones?
I am Dean Jones.
Excellent. It was quite a day yesterday for you, DJ.
It wasn't actually. It was a bigger day for you two, I think. I think you two got... I don't go on Twitter. Fun. Yeah. I don't know. I genuinely haven't even seen it. I'm not even joking. I don't know what went on. I'm not going to go into other stuff going in my life that was far more chaotic than this. But you two seem to have a lot of fun, judging by other messages that I was getting in WhatsApp. That's the only way I've actually seen what's been going on. But a bit weird.
For anyone who hasn't seen this, basically, the Crystal Palace chairman, Steve Parish, decided that he figured out that Dean had a bigger network than MI5, like saying quotes, because he was giving transfer stories across the various platforms that Dean works for over the course of deadline day. And it sparked the hashtag Who is Dean Jones, which has seen a lot of fun. We've had Guess Who boards with Dean's face on every single square. We've had the sign guy in New York City with Who is Dean Jones on his sign. Sam, well, we enjoyed ourselves at the very least.
You ordered some T-shirts.
I do have T-shirts on the way, yeah. Who is Dean Jones? If you want a Who is Dean Jones T-shirt, hit me up. I'm selling them a huge profit and donate half the profits to the Who is Dean Jones Foundation, aka Dean's family. But yeah, a strange day.
Yeah, to be fair, it shows that Give Me Sports model was absolutely nailed. They've nailed it, because that is the idea of what they do. And I think the underlying story is that the media world has changed, and it's not about just the newspapers and the obvious websites anymore where you get stories. And the fact that he's seen so many quotes with my name attributed to it basically is because I was extremely busy checking transfer stories all summer, and that is my actual job. So in that sense, I guess I've done my job. But yeah, it's quite funny. I don't really know what to say beyond that.
It's very funny.
It was very amusing. There was good social media content surrounding it. So it's exciting. And good that we got the answer cleared up. You are Dean Jones.
I am Dean Jones.
No, Dean Jones, I hear, is actually Dean Jones. In fact, maybe he was talking about that cricketer you used to get confused for.
Well, he's dead.
Well, yeah, but you remember the amount of RIP messages that Dean got the day that he died was quite something.
Yeah, I spoke to him a few times. He was a decent bloke. Any other Dean Joneses out there, do get in touch. I know that there's one who I've had a few messages for him. He's a policeman somewhere. He's there's a counsellor somewhere called Dean Jones. There's someone of some sort of profile who I've got a few messages for in the past. So hello to him if he's listening.
And to all other Dean Joneses out there listening.
They're probably all in Wales. I don't know how many Welsh listeners we have.
Well, there you go. We'll find out very shortly. Right. Let's get on quickly to things we love before we do 5x5, because it's going to take up the main thrust of this podcast. But I know you've got something, Sam, and I've got a little story as well that I really, really enjoyed this week.
Yeah, definitely. And a thing I really, really love this week. But it's not based on professional football. It's based on amateur football. Because I made my managerial bow on Saturday. I coached a 9-a-side team in a day-long tournament. I did it.
Well done. Congratulations. How did you get on?
We won.
They,
We won. We took the trophy home, and everyone got medals too. It was absolutely awesome. I had a wicked time. I mean, I took it possibly, arguably, slightly too seriously. Big whiteboard, formation drawn out with the pens and the magnetic counters on, tactics drawn out, how many players forward from corners.
So not arguably, you definitely did.
Yeah, fine. Maybe I definitely did. We had a build-up shape sorted. We had goal kick routines. I had pretty much everything sorted. Took stock on my personnel. Wanted to play a certain formation. Just couldn't do it. The personnel just would not fit into it. So I, like all good managers, I'm adaptable. I switched. I played a 3-4-1 formation because I had one centre-back who's absolutely massive and dominant in the air, but not too mobile. So I wanted to put him in the middle of a three and have two slightly more mobile players either side of him. He dominated in the air. The other two protected him on the flanks, which was great. The midfield four was a flat four. They worked like absolute Trojans. Brilliant. I must admit, I think I made my lone striker's life pretty difficult. He was working off real scraps here. He didn't do too much, but he did the best with what he got. But proof's in the pudding. We conceded one goal for the whole tournament, which was a deflected shot from a long way out that the goalkeeper still managed to get something on, but unfortunately spilled it over the line. We lost that game 1-0, and then we met that team again in the final. I made a tactical tweak. I deployed a player to man-mark their best player to take him out of the game. We managed to level the playing field, and we did have to win on penalties, boys. But
you won on pens.
We won the shootout.
That's a way to win it, isn't it?
I know. Absolutely incredible. We scored all of ours, and they missed their final one. Our goalkeeper got like a leg to it, and it sort of the ball skipped up and arced upwards, and you just couldn't quite tell. It was going up, and arcing back towards the crossbar, and it just dropped over the crossbar and landed on the top of the net. And that was 2 seconds there that felt like 2 hours as it was arcing over. And that was it, man. That was it. And then what followed was celebrations, pandemonium, trophy lift, and a hell of a night out. Team meal, drinking pints out of the trophy, our captain stumbling home with a lid on his head, all sorts of fun.
It does sound good. Sounds good.
It's a hell of a Saturday.
I'm glad that you won on your debut. Otherwise, you might have never gone back to it. I know you're.
It'd be a fraud, wouldn't it? It'd be a fraud.
Yeah, but now you can carry on, and maybe if anyone else wants Sam to manage them, probably within his local area, you'd imagine. Then do get in touch with the podcast, and we'll see what we can do.
If you pay for flights and stuff, I'm open to it.
I'm open to it. Here we go. Okay, cool. I want to just talk very briefly about a really, really lovely story from this week, which was Jay Stansfield returning to Exeter City on loan. Now, before you wonder why I'm talking about the club in League One taking a 19-year-old striker on loan, basically Jay Stansfield, his dad played for Exeter City as well, Adam Stansfield, and died of cancer at just 31 years old. And now Exeter retired the number 9 shirt for 9 years because, as a tribute to Adam Stansfield. And he's also got one of the stands at St James's Park. They also share that stadium name. Down at Exeter, named after him. Jay Stansfield turned down a couple of championship loans from going away from Fulham this year to go down to Exeter City. He's taken his dad's old number 9 shirt and he made his debut on Saturday. Very, very emotional scenes. Wearing his dad's number. The Exeter City fans still sing a song for Stano, pretty much every game. And the camera kind of cut to Jay at the end of the game, and it was tears in his eyes, and it was all very, very emotional. I mean, I think he's going to have a wonderful season down there as well. He's a fantastic footballer and someone with a point to prove. But it's a really lovely story, I thought. I just wanted to bring it to people's attention because, to go back and wear your dad's number at the club where Jay grew up, Fulham bought him off Exeter about 4 or 5 years ago, and return there and take that, I think was a big emotional moment for Jay and the whole family and the whole Exeter City fan base, I imagine. So, just a nice story from this week that I thought was one to bring up in Things We Love before we get into the kind of dark and dirty stuff of the 5x5. I thought it was one to lift spirits and a nice thing.
He's a good player. He's a really good player. He's he'll be back at Fulham before too long because they'll need him at some point, like the level that he's managed to reach so quickly at this age. But if there's anywhere I'm happy to see him go out on loan, that is certainly the one. Hope it goes well.
Yeah, I didn't know about the story or the backstory, and at surface level, I found it really strange because obviously he started the derby against Brentford.
Yeah,
I thought he starts the derby against Brentford. Okay, fine, in a bit of a pinch, you've signed some wingers, etc. But to go down to League One, and then I obviously read into it a little bit, and it made it all make a lot more sense. And it was really nice stuff. Good to keep in touch with the real side of football, wasn't it? With the amateur football and the heartfelt stuff and the family connections before we launch into the top 5 teams in the top 5 leagues across the board, huh?
Yeah, I think so. But it has unfortunately come to that time in some ways after the break.
Unfortunately, I'm buzzing for this. I know you're not after what you did last season.
Well, we'll talk about my record in this game, if you will, later, a little bit later in the podcast. But it is going to be very exciting. But it's sad to leave the heartfelt stuff behind, is what I meant by unfortunate in that regard. After the break, we are going to be moving into 5x5, where we predict the top 5 teams in each of Europe's top 5 leagues. It is a game that makes for a lot of fun, a lot of discussion, and in my case, a lot of getting things wrong. Don't go anywhere. Are you missing out on games you'd want to watch because they're not broadcast in your region? Well, let me introduce NordVPN. If you're in the UK, but you'd rather listen to commentary from our old pal Derek Ray, why not give something new a go? Using NordVPN and a click of a button, you can do just that. And the same goes for our US listeners who are desperate for those dulcet tones of Peter Drury or Martin Tyler. There's no need to travel to Japan if you want to watch the J-League, or Austria to keep an eye on the latest youngsters flying off the RB Salzburg pipeline, when NordVPN brings it right to you. With 5,000 plus server options, no game is out of your reach. Using our link, nordvpn.com/ranksfc, you can try it for a free month. And also, there's a huge discount on their 2-year plan. Welcome back to Ranks FC. It's time for 5x5. Before we get into this season's ones, should we have a little look back at the results from last year, Sam?
I'm sure you want
to. How did it go? No, I don't want to, clearly, but this is how it has to be.
Yeah, I don't actually know the answer to this. I don't remember us ever looking back, but I'm presuming you came last.
Yeah, obviously. Yeah, obviously.
I had Angers in the top 5. Obviously,
did you actually?
Yeah, my heart trumps my head every time, and therefore I get loads of stuff wrong. I love stories too.
I said off air, people that are listening to this, that I've never known somebody watch so much football and know so little about it, get so much wrong. I said, do you watch it like Taylor does, with glazed eyes and just stare straight through the screen?
Yeah, but put Roma at the top of the league, obviously, because I got excited about them. I put Angers in 5th because I thought they were going to be loads of fun. They didn't come 5th, clearly. It just didn't go to plan. Look,
so you do the opposite of what I do.
Guys, so to give you the scores, Jack got a score of 32, and I'll explain how that comes about in a minute. Jack got 32. Our patrons got 34, and Dean and I, we tied, mate. We got 40 each. So there is no outright winner. What's really alarming? We need a winner. What's really weird, looking through the results and stuff, and what happened. Obviously, Jack got very carried away and put Roma to win Serie A, which was obviously ridiculous. But Dean, you actually got three teams bang on in the correct positions in Liga. You got the most points out of any of us in France.
How many times do I need to tell you that I'm literally an expert of that league?
I know.
I know everything about that league. I'm going to
start believing it. And actually, we both got really good scores on the Bundesliga as well.
That's not very hard. There's only 5 teams, isn't it?
But you got more in the Bundesliga and in France than you did in the Premier League.
Premier League was quite hard last year.
Well, evidently. But anyway, we've tied. So we probably
we can't do that. So we'll have
let's get a tiebreaker in place. I've got one for you. Here it is. Okay. We're going to go back to last year's Icelandic second division.
No.
And you're going to have to try and tell me who you think won the league.
I didn't watch any of the
teams. If you don't know any of the teams, I'm going to read out the top 3 in no particular order. You can have a guess.
Okay, hang on.
Who gets to have the first guess?
Well, can either of us name an Icelandic team?
Yeah, if either of you can name an Icelandic team.
I can do one. I don't know if they're in the first. Hafnarfjordur.
They're not in the second division, sadly.
They're too good.
Well, they weren't, at least last year. Weirdly, there's actually 20 games of this year's Icelandic second division gone already. This is the season before, which is kind of mad, just because of the way that the time works in Iceland.
Yeah, well, we're going to need some names.
What about Icelandic Dust Cloud FC? Do they exist?
No, right, okay. So Sam gets first pick then. Fantastic. Right, the 3 teams in no particular order are IBV, Fjolnir, and Fram.
I'll take Fjolnir.
Dean?
IBV.
Well, neither of you have won.
No!
but because Fram won the league by 11 points, I'll have you know. But IBV did come above Fjolnir, so the win goes to the man of mystery himself, Dean Jones.
Who is Dean Jones?
Who is Dean Jones?
He is the governor when it comes to predictions,
He's
mate.
the 5x5 champion. That's who he is. Yeah.
Steve Parrish wants a bet over anything, then I'll definitely win it.
So annoying. My wife asked me later, how'd the podcast go, Sam? How'd the predictions? I lost on a tiebreaker. Icelandic second division killed me.
Yeah. Exactly. I'll never like Fjolnir again.
I actually hate them now.
Yeah, exactly.
Who are their direct
quite
rivals?
Enough nonsense. I don't
IBV.
IBV. This is quite enough of this nonsense. We should get on to 5x5, right? And this is what we do. We pick 5 each from each of, 5 teams from each of the top 5 leagues. We try and put them in order. And at the end of the season, we come back and have a look at them. This year, I've decided to try and be less heart. That's what I've come to.
You won't manage that. You will not manage that.
But I won't manage it because it's me, sadly.
I bet you haven't got, I can't wait, to be honest. Like, I can imagine how much effort and thought you've put into this in comparison to me.
Well, I was doing this and writing a poem. I do carry this sometimes, I feel. But on the back of that, I think we should probably start. And let's start in England, right? And as champion, Dean, you get to read out your top 5 first.
Oh, okay. Man City are going to win the league.
Yeah.
2 is difficult, isn't it? Because it can be obscured by how it looks right now, but we're still going Liverpool.
Okay.
3, Man United.
Ooh,
excuse me?
Cool.
4, Chelsea.
Yeah.
5, Tottenham.
Okay.
Arsenal ain't making it.
Good
Arsenal
Lord. Well, the good news is Dean's poor record in the Premier League is set to continue.
Arsenal are not making it.
Okay, right. Sam, what are you going for?
City to win it. Liverpool in second. I agree with Dean.
Same as mine.
Yep. Tottenham in third.
Yeah.
Arsenal in fourth.
Yeah.
Chelsea in fifth.
Oh, mate, you've messed that up.
Mine's very similar to yours, Sam.
Well, that actually does both badly.
Yeah, it does badly for you. I've got Man City, Liverpool, Spurs, Arsenal, but I've got Man United in fifth, sorry. We did think about expanding this to 6x6 for 2022. I'm putting Chelsea in 6. That's my first big call.
Well, I don't
think it's that big a call. To be honest.
I've got them outside the top 4 for sure. I mean, I don't look at Chelsea right now. I don't see a particularly happy looking club, like a well functioning club, and you expect those teams over the course of 38 games to get the better of the others for the most part. And what keeps them in contention, of course, is they have some incredible players. Squad quality tends to rule. But I'm looking at the top 5 and 6 teams here, and I'm looking at Thomas Tuchel as possibly the most likely manager to be sacked out of all 6 of them. And I'm looking at this squad and the lack of harmony as one of the major weak points. So I still put them above United, who I just consider a complete wild card. I really don't know what to do with them, so I'm just going to leave them aside. But yeah, Chelsea down in 5th for me for sure, and Tottenham and Arsenal rising above.
Yeah, I think we've seen good starts from both of them. Obviously, Arsenal top of the table, Spurs are unbeaten. It's hard to look past them at the moment. Now, Dean made a really good point on Monday that we were talking about Arsenal and the fact that last year after losses, and especially after big losses, they had periods where they really dropped off. They were incredibly streaky, and the big question for Arteta now is if he can avoid that. Right, if he can avoid the kind of failures that stopped them getting into the top 4 last season, but I have a funny feeling he does. I think they'll come in from centre midfielder in January, and if they do that, the squad looks pretty strong. I think.
Here's the problem and this is why I got no faith in this team. They've just been through an unbelievable run, pre-season and the first 5 games of this season. Right, like that is as good as this team can possibly be. And the drop off is now like that. They can't maintain that. I just don't see how Arsenal can maintain that with this level because they don't have the depth of the squad to maintain it.
Well, they're not going to continue in first for much longer, are they? That's for sure.
And this is the thing. They've been as good as they've been, right? and they were top of the league. Brilliant start. You literally can't fault it because they were 5 out of 5. Yet after 6 games, they're 1 point ahead of Man City and Tottenham, and only 3 points ahead of Man United. Like that, and that's a Man United team that have not been that good so far, or certainly not for the first 3 games. And so that to me just tells you that Arsenal obviously can't keep it up, and they're not going to win the league. I just don't have faith in this team keeping up these levels because they've got a really good 11. And I think that they've got big problems once you get beyond that. And I think we're already starting to see, once Arteta has to move pieces around, that gaps open up.
So, Jack, obviously you and I are higher on Arsenal than Dean, but we're both higher on Tottenham than Arsenal. I thought I was being a bit bold there, but obviously the two of us...
I did originally have it the other way around.
Dean also has Tottenham in 5th and Arsenal in 6th. We've all put Tottenham above Arsenal, which goes against the sort of early grain, I guess. Why do you think that Tottenham outlast United? Why do you think Tottenham outlast Arsenal?
Because I think the fact that they haven't played well and are still where they are and unbeaten is probably a relatively good sign for Tottenham. And I think, we've seen the interviews with someone like Kulusevski who was talking about Conte, and he was just like, it's not fun. I'm not having a good time. I'm here to win games and win trophies, etc., etc. And I think that slight level of kind of drive might well just lead them to be a little bit more consistent. Like, obviously in the last 2 weekends, I've gone to watch Arsenal play Fulham at Arsenal and Tottenham play Fulham at Tottenham. And both their games ended 2-1. But the Tottenham game could have been 5 or 6. And I think the Arsenal game, in some ways, Fulham were relatively unlucky. Now, Arsenal were the better side. I'm not debating that by any sort of stretch of the imagination. They were definitely the better side. Both teams were better than Fulham. I just felt like Spurs were just far more in control of things and just able to kind of manage the game far better than Arsenal did, despite the fact that the results ended the same. And that at the moment is probably the difference to me. I think when I was going into these games, I probably felt that Tottenham were more gettable than Arsenal. But having watched both of them live in the flesh in the last week, there just feels to be like that level of control around Spurs. I think that even if they're on the back foot, they know exactly how to punish you. And Arsenal struggled with that this weekend against United, I thought.
Yeah, I was making my notes for this, and I just put a couple of words down beside each team just as key things to justify it to myself. And next to Tottenham, I put Conte and depth. I think Tottenham have nailed the depth argument where Arsenal may have left themselves 1 or 2 short, as Dean said. I think Conte is one of the best managers in the world, and I look at the manager always when I'm deciding this sort of thing.
100%,
yeah. I think that's completely fair enough. Completely fair enough. Okay.
I was the only one bold enough to go for Man United, top 4.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's the gamble, DJ. It might well pay off. And
it's a gamble, but like I just
this is all gambles at this point, isn't it, I suppose?
I think like
City top is not a gamble.
It's true.
They've beaten Liverpool and Arsenal just as they are starting to find the pattern that Ten Hag is going to want from this team. He's finding his feet. He's had 3 months with this team, but really only probably 6 weeks with the knowing what his team's actually going to be for the season. Less if you count the fact that he didn't know if he was getting Anthony until the last minute. And they're right there. And I just think that like the top 4 is very attainable. And after missing out last year, it's so important to them, and I think they'll get it.
I think in terms of where United are at right now, I think they are actually going to have an element of that Solskjaer reign about them still to begin with, at the very least, in that they're very good against big sides. I think they're going to actually struggle with the sides that sit in front of them and go on, then break us down. Now, I think that will get better over the course of the season as Ten Hag's patterns, etc., come into play. But to begin with, I just think there are points to be dropped. And the fact that, it was a very, very nervy 1-0 over Leicester and the one against Southampton the weekend before, I just can see them. I can see them getting a bit like frustrated by teams, and that's why I have them a little bit here. Whereas I think that Arsenal might struggle more against top sides, but I think they'll beat the people that they're supposed to beat, and that might be the thing that kicks them above them.
Well, there's obviously more games against teams you're supposed to beat if you're Arsenal, right? But significantly, triple the number, and for United, it's the converse argument. So I'm basically with you there, Jack. I think putting United in 3rd is very, very bold. But considering I talked about them as the wild card, anything could happen.
Yeah. I don't think the competition is that tough to get 3rd. That's the thing. That's the ultimate argument.
I just think that everyone's about the same level, yeah. And therefore, it can work out anyway.
Looks wide open right now, and it could be any of those 4 teams, to be honest with you. Listen, it could even be Liverpool at this rate. Like, we've all probably gone way too high on Liverpool based on what we've seen before. We're just expecting Mo Salah to find his feet again, and I'm a bit worried with Salah and the amount of how his positional sense has changed and how much time he's spending wide at the moment. Anybody who plays FPL is probably having panic attacks at the moment when they watch Salah because you're like, why are you nowhere near the box? Get inside a bit. You're not going to score from there.
And you know what? He might.
But
he's done it before.
Salah normally gets 20 goals. At the moment, he's got 2. So I'm counting on him getting those 18 goals.
Yep.
and they'll get back up there.
Yeah, I think you're right in that we've not discussed the fact we all put Liverpool second, and right now that looks like a very bold
a bit silly
call.
To be honest, but
I think we trust in the traditions that we have, and we trust in Jurgen Klopp to get something out of this squad, and we know that even in injury crises he's managed to secure Champions League football.
Yeah.
I wonder as everyone comes back, will this side just find their form again, and we'll see how it goes.
Well, Jack, you know what really tipped it for me? The signing of Arthur Mello. You know I'm a big fan.
Very good. Touché. If you want Sam's thoughts on Arthur Mello and you haven't already heard it, last week we did a podcast on after deadline day about the best transfers of the window and also some we were a bit concerned about. So that's on the main feed just before this one if you want to have a listen. With that, let's go over to Germany, shall we? And Dean, you're going to have the lead in all of these, so I'm going to let you start.
Oh God, I've got to think of 5 German teams.
Yeah, second division.
Okay, so bold first place. I'm going Bayern. Second, Dortmund. Third, RB Leipzig. Fourth, Union Berlin. And fifth, Freiburg.
Yeah, I'm really glad someone did.
They're going to stay up there. They're not going to quite hit the heights they're at now, but I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt that they can cling on to those top spots.
There's nothing better than Dean's benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, it's one of my favourite things. All right, Sam.
My kind heart.
Yeah.
There it is. Toxic Dean's gone to rest for a week.
Yes, actually. Yeah, wait till Melon later.
Yeah, absolutely. Go on then, Sam.
So, yeah, I've obviously got Bayern Munich top as well. I've got Dortmund in second and I've got Leipzig in third too. I've put Leverkusen in fourth and they've got some ground to make up, but let's hope they can do it for my sakes and for theirs. And fifth, I wanted to just pick, not quite, I wouldn't say rogue, but I wanted to go a little bit further outside the box than usual. And I ended up going for Hoffenheim, which I'm happy to justify in a moment.
Wow, that is bold. Okie dokie. I've gone same top 3. That means we've all got the same top 3. We did this in Spain last year as well. I've gone Bayern, BVB, Leipzig. I've gone Borussia Mönchengladbach in fourth. Their start's been good. I've been impressed, and they don't have European football to contend with. And I've gone Union Berlin in fifth. I was reticent to leave Freiburg out because I think they are absolutely brilliant under Christian Streich. But I just think with European football to contend with and the squad, the things he came out with after the weekend, being like, yeah, our main aim is to stay in the division. I think it's going to become a bit stretched in terms of quality. And the last time Freiburg were in Europe, they finished fifth. I think it must have been about 8 seasons ago. They finished 14th the previous campaign. So I'm a little bit wary of that kind of European struggle having an impact on Freiburg.
Yeah, I think this is massive. I think particularly for the sort of 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th best German teams, with the wealth disparity between the Premier League and most other leagues, but it feels particularly strong in Germany. How these teams cope with the midweek schedule is really, really tough. Now, obviously, they get 4 fewer games to play in the season in the league, which helps a little bit, but they still have to contend with quite a lot, particularly when, I see Union Berlin playing Thursday into Sunday. There's no real difference in terms of actual hours, but Thursday, Sunday always feels harder than Wednesday, Saturday for some reason in my head. Union Berlin had to buy about 15 players to prepare for this campaign. So they are stocked in terms of quantity, but I never really feel like I can trust teams that punch above their weight and get to that point to then follow it up and manage the European campaign, which is how I kind of ended up on Hoffenheim, because they don't have to play any midweek games. And I wanted to pick one of the teams that weren't going to do that for fifth. I don't really like Daniel Farke, so I ruled out Gladbach, and that left me with Hoffenheim. It really is that scientific.
Matt, wow. you put Hoffenheim and Leipzig in your top 5. You're going to be an unpopular man, I tell you right now, in Germany. A very, very unpopular man. I do like this Gladbach side, and I thought they were good at the weekend and probably should have won, even though they did drop points. They've had a good start, and without European football, I fancy them to carry it on. So, the thing with Union is that or Union Berlin, as you famously refer to them, Sam, is that they have obviously managed a European campaign last season, and managed to hold on to the European spots. And with the influx of players this year, as you mentioned, I have a feeling they might be able to do that again. So I'm hopeful.
Yeah. So I knew that you would think that, and I knew that you would pick them. So I've decided to try and create my fantasy football differentials, Dean Jones, and I've left Union. It's a risk, but I've left Union out.
Leipzig might be a bold call here from all three of us. Now look, we've obviously gone with the same top three.
11th in the league at the moment.
Dortmund and Leipzig, and they got absolutely walloped at the weekend by Eintracht. They lost 4-0. They didn't have a shot on target. They were desperate,
and they've got
in pretty much
this
every
weekend.
phase. They've got Dortmund this weekend, and they've got a couple of European ties now, obviously midweek to deal with as well. You know, this is a bad start for Leipzig, and they need to sort themselves out relatively quickly if they are going to come third.
Just like last year.
Just like last year. Last year they had the addition of sacking a manager and replacing them. Tedesco seems to have the faith of the board, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
But their squad is just so much stronger than most of the teams around them, and like that will pay off. I mean, they've just got ridiculous players. They've got Nkunku, they've got Soboslai, they've got Gvardiol, like they've got
Werner now.
Like all four of those players could easily be in, well, the top two teams, to be honest with you. Like I think Bayern and Dortmund would look at all four of those players. So I think that tells you exactly why they'll be on their coattail.
Definitely, yeah. Squad quality is a huge.
Konrad Laimer, like he stayed in the end. Like lots of teams after him.
I mean, really, I'm the only one of the three of us that has put Bayer Leverkusen in the top five. Now, obviously, they've started horrifically. 4 losses from 5, and they're out of the cup, which is just demoralising. I totally get why you've both left them out. But again, using the arbiter of squad quality, it's a similar argument to RB Leipzig. Leipzig have just 2 more points than Leverkusen, and Leverkusen have at least the 4th best squad in this division. So I really am banking on squad quality there proving itself over the course of the season in those 2 picks for sure.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I just think Leverkusen might have left themselves a lot to do, and the fact that they are, competing in Europe as well is going to be tricky.
And famous bottlers, yeah.
They are also famous bottlers. I really had so much hope for Leverkusen this season. So much hope, and they just keep getting done. Like they fought back. Obviously, they take the lead in this game. They go 2-1 down, and then they fight back to 2-2. And you're thinking, all right, kick on now. And then they concede again. And it's like, this team are weak. They don't want it. They don't want it. They're mentally not there. But at least Callum Hudson-Odoi got an assist. So that's something for Leverkusen fans to hang on to. I hope I'm wrong on that one. I really hope that they do get back into this. But I just think they might have left themselves a wee bit too much to do. Cool. Right. Let's shift onwards again. Let's go to Italy, where I think there's going to be the biggest variance of all in this entire 5x5. Let's go. Dean.
Champions just about again. AC Milan.
Whee!
Okay.
Inter Milan.
Yeah.
Napoli.
Yeah.
Juventus.
Yeah.
Roma.
Okay. Dean leaves early league leaders Atalanta out of his top 5. Sam.
As do I. Number 1, Inter just over Milan. It's a coin flip, isn't it?
Final day.
It's
Final day
coin
of the season.
flip. Inter Milan win. Milan in 2nd. Roma 3rd. Just lost 4-0. Don't care. Inter just lost the derby to Milan, putting them above Milan. None of this makes sense. Juve in 4th. Results over performances.
They always finish 4th now. That's why they're going for 4th.
Napoli in 5th.
Okie dokie. Here comes the Jack Collins heart overhead.
Here we go.
First, Udinese.
First, Napoli. You did it.
What?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
You're such an idiot.
Oh,
what are you doing?
Milan in 2nd. Inter in 3rd. Roma in 4th. And Atalanta in 5th.
Oh, my goodness. You just never learn.
What are you doing?
Never learn.
I got a feeling.
No, you haven't. You got a bad feeling.
This is not right.
I got a bad feeling about
I can
Juve.
assure you, I can absolutely assure you this is wrong.
Well, considering none of us got 5 out of 5 last year on any league, I would agree with you that this is probably wrong. But
no, you've left out Juventus and you've put Napoli top.
Mate, I watched Juventus this weekend.
It doesn't matter, though. Don't worry about last weekend.
They are dreadful. They are
dreadful, yeah. They were dreadful
They'll
last year and the year before.
This year, the rest of the teams are better than they were in the last 2 years.
So will Juve be once they get people back.
I'll tell you what, if Napoli lose Lorenzo Insigne and they lose Kalidou Koulibaly and a couple of other key men as well, Dries Mertens, yeah, starting goalkeeper, have to change there as well. If they win the league off the back of all of that, then Kvaradona has had a Ballon d'Or campaign.
Ballon d'Or?
It's going to be a Ballon d'Or. I mean, yeah, that's basically what it has to be for this to be right.
Yeah, I'm backing it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm backing the fact that Juventus are actually going to get found out for being rubbish, which is it's about time, to be perfectly honest with you, that Juve are found out for being awful. Yeah. I think Roma will scrape into the top 4 on the last day at the expense of Atalanta, who I think are going to have a better campaign than we thought and don't have European football to contend with.
Nice.
Big. But I think Atalanta have been excellent. Look, I had major questions. We can go back to our Serie A preview podcast. I was really concerned. I had major concerns over Atalanta. They started the season so well. They look really, really good. They look like they have variations in attack. They are not relying on the same old things. It's not just Malinovsky scoring screamers from outside the box anymore, which is good because that's not a sustainable way of winning games, even if it is Malinovsky. It just looks all a bit more comfortable for Atalanta, and I fancy them to make a bit of a splash. I reckon they'll be within the top 4, conversation right to the end of this campaign, but I think they'll just fall short.
Very good. I mean, they have had a really good start to the season. They were really good on Monday, weren't they? So, yeah, like it. Well, no, I don't like it, hate it, but like that you've done it because you'll be wrong.
There are only 2 things in this entire 15 where people have matched up. Sam, you and I have matched up on Milan coming second, and Dean, you and Sam have matched up on Juve coming fourth. Every single other outcome is different. And that's what I said. That's what I thought I thought the variance was there.
Yeah, good.
The thing with Serie A is that, I keep saying it, everyone's fallible, everyone's fun. But it just is a bit of a nut house at the moment, and it's not gonna. It doesn't feel like it's gonna change anytime soon, which is probably good for this kind of variance because it keeps it interesting.
Well, it's just so tight. I mean, Atalanta are top on 13 points, and at the moment, Inter 8th with 9 points. They're 4 points behind, but they're like 7 positions behind, and that's what you get from this league at the moment. And you've got, at the moment, Udinese throwing their weight around in the top 4, and Torino have even managed to sneak in there after their early form. So it's just a more unpredictable league, and I think that it's one of the reasons it's become more entertaining than La Liga. It's been for me, still is actually. I thought this season actually La Liga was going to find its mark again in the standings of European football, but actually I've still found myself every time given the choice to watch a La Liga game or Serie A, I'm going for Serie A every single time still. I just find the matchups are better, the players are more fun, there's more expression, and yeah, the results, you don't know which way the games are going. So honestly, I think it's the league to watch. I really do. Like, I've always picked the Premier League first, but this is again the league behind it. The team that are most boring to watch is Juventus, but we've got to watch them all season, unfortunately, because it's our job.
Yeah, it is. This is why I'm hoping they don't get anywhere near it, because it means that we have to watch them less.
But they will. Do you remember how far off they fell last year? And that's what I basically learned, like, from ruling them out of anything. You just can't, because they'll find a way to just get enough consistency at times of the season that matter when other teams start to fall away, and that's how they claw their way back.
Yeah, no, I can completely appreciate your point, and
that me and Sam are right. You just don't want it to be.
Well, yeah, but also a part of me is thinking maybe this is the time that's generally they get their comeuppance for playing the world's most boring football.
It just don't really happens, but yeah.
but so part of that is based in hope. Yeah, it is. I'd be lying if I said it isn't. And it's not anything to do with being anti-Juventus. It's just they're really dull, and I don't want teams that are really dull to do well. It makes me sad. So I'm banking on feeling right about this towards the end of the season, feeling smug. But I appreciate that it remains a long shot. So yeah, but I mean, look, Serie A still the most exciting. I mean, Roma have in all of ours, despite getting absolutely trounced on the weekend. It was really quite ugly, to be perfectly honest with you. And they looked like they were lost and had no kind of direction. Is there any concern about this side, or is it just a blip?
But Udinese did play really well. I appreciate Roma.
No one's put Udinese in.
Why not good? No, but they have had a good start to the season, and they did play really well. And I feel like obviously 4-0 is a really bad result. Udinese now above Roma in the league. But like Mourinho said, I said it on the other podcast the other day, like Mourinho was like, well, I'd rather lose 4-0 once than lose 1-0 4 times. And it's that kind of mentality that means that he'll be in the mix. Like, last season, I didn't expect Mourinho to get through the season. I didn't think this was going to work out. It has been a good fit, and it has brought a lot to the league as much as it's brought to Roma. And because of what I've seen so far from Mourinho, the fact that they have a bit of X factor now about them up front, I just fancy that they'll get in there.
Yeah, how much do you want to read into one result over, sort of 4 or 5? And up until that point, they'd been playing relatively well for the most part, and they had not been conceding open play goals or open play chances. Yeah. All the goals that they were conceding was a Vlahovic wonder free kick and things like that. They were defensively, they were absolutely brilliant until they just fell apart in that one game. Is that normal? Do you consider that something to be worried about? Or you'd have to think that that's a sign of things to come if you were worried about it. I don't think it's normal. I think it's an anomaly.
Yeah, like Dybala, Pellegrini and Tammy Abraham, I just don't feel that can go that wrong for that enough times, and that's what ultimately I look at when drawing up these kind of things.
Yeah, I think that's fair. At the very least, it's something to hold on to for Roma fans. And with that, and with the mad variance that we've seen in Italy, we're going to move to France.
This is a load of nonsense, to be honest. I basically.
Mate, what do you mean? This is where you win. This is where you win.
Do you know why I win? Guesswork.
No, I know what it is. Last year, you got the betting odds out.
You did.
I did actually. Yeah, that's fair. I haven't done that this time. I've put PSG top because it's obviously the most predictable thing in the entirety of world football. And second, I've just gone for Marseille because they've managed to keep up with them so far. So fair play. They're both right up there, first and second on joint points at the moment. So if they've managed to keep up with them to this point, the chances are they're going to come closest to them across the course of the season. So that's as much logic as there is. The rest of the top 5, I have just randomly selected. And I've gone 3rd Lyon, 4th Monaco, 5th Lille.
Okay.
Very little logic involved in that selection process.
Well, it worked for you last year.
Exactly.
Right, Sam?
Deeply concerned here as my top 5 looks similar to Dean's. PSG
Don't be
first,
concerned, mate. The reigning champ, Dean Jones. Not who is Dean Jones. The reigning champ, Dean Jones.
You got the win on a technicality. PSG first, Marseille second, and then I've got Monaco 3, Lyon 4. So just flipped Dean's 3 and 4, and Lille in 5th. So we match up on 3, and our 3 and 4 is flipped.
Yeah, that is a lot.
Told you the league was nonsense.
I have matched up with you on 2 of those things.
Oh God, please tell me one of them's PSG top.
One of them is PSG top. Yes. I've gone Lyon second ahead of Marseille. It's easy to say that Marseille are joint level on points with PSG, but actually Lyon would be too if they had won the game in hand that got cancelled, which I think they will win. And they've been very, very impressive. So I'm going to suggest that the slightly more stable club, Lyon over Marseille.
Do you know what Inter said for the whole of last season?
Tips the balance here.
We just got to win that game in hand.
Yes, it is a bit.
Never did it.
But yeah, I'm going to go Lyon, then Marseille. I'm going to go Rennes in 4th. I've been quietly impressed. I think they're better than their results are showing. And Lille in 5th. So we've all got Lille 5th.
Full house on
PSG
Lille.
top.
Yeah,
full house on PSG and a full house on Lille.
Yeah,
and to be fair, most of the other most of the other clubs are the same as well. In fact, the only change is I've gone Rennes when both of you have Monaco in your top four.
Yeah, Monaco's form to start the season hasn't been good, but they're doing exactly the same thing they did last year, if you remember, which is they're kind of like struggling their way through the opening kind of 5, 6, 7 games because they have to play that really nervy Champions League qualifier, and they have to do the midweek game in between like game week 1, 2, and 3 or whatever it is. Yeah. And they've done the same thing as last time. They've lost it again. So their league form has been hurt by the fact that they've rotated their team and used their strongest team in midweeks. Didn't qualify for the Champions League, and then also didn't pick up the points at the weekend because they were and it set them back. Exactly the same as last year. They must be really, really annoyed. But what did they do at the end of last season? They won so many games in a row to close that gap. So I'm kind of backing them to do the same thing again because they have the quality and they have really strong depth, Monaco. I know they lost a key player in Chouameni, but they've got some good players and they've bought some other good players as well. So I'm the highest on Monaco in third. I would say by far, but Dean has been
I think
fourth.
It's a fair. I think it's a fair thing, and I think that Yusuf Fana and Mohamed Kamara as a partnership is really, really exciting.
Yeah.
I watched them against Nice in the Derby de la Côte d'Azur this weekend, and it was one of the most uninspiring games I've ever watched. Both teams were just kind of crap. Now, Monaco probably better value for the win and that they eventually got, but it was a really poor game of football, I thought. And actually, when you look at this and what they've kind of done so far, I'm just slightly concerned. I think they were a little bit lucky last year in some ways in that everyone else didn't really pull away from them in their really big, bad starts of the season. I actually think that a lot of teams are stronger. I think Lyon and Marseille in particular feel much more, together this season. I know Marseille had a really good season on Sampaoli, but the rest of the chasing pack, that Lille side fell off last year. Rennes were sort of there and thereabouts. They've strengthened this summer, I think, across the course of it. Obviously, bringing in Amini Gouiri. I just think they'll probably just have the edge. So I'm gonna suggest that Monaco might finish sixth, and that's why I've left them out here. But I completely understand where you're coming from, considering they're on the same points as Rennes, and that's I've put in fourth. But I
was tempted. I was tempted by Lyon in second as well, by the way, to push them all the way up into second. I ended up putting them in fourth, but I juggled these around a little bit. Been impressed with Lyon. I'd have to assume that the quality they've lost over the summer will tell at some point. And we have to remember again that these seasons are very long, and that's why I'm looking at Monaco and thinking all about 2023 for Monaco and just rebounding a little bit. So I've got a slightly longer sighted gaze on it, I think, which I've tried to learn from last season.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. And that takes us nicely onto our final fives, which are in Spain. And we go to you first, Dean Jones.
I think I'm going to surprise you. I'm going Barcelona 1.
Whoa, he's done it.
Madrid 2. Big decision that was.
That's very not you. That's very
not me,
Dean
and
Jones.
that's how bold that is. That is not my automatic choice. 3 Atleti, 4 Athletic Club, and 5 Betis.
Okay, Sam.
My God, I love that actually. Fair play, Dino. You made me smile, and not because I'm mocking you. I've done the same thing with the top 2. And I did not expect to be sat here doing that. I actually had Madrid. I had Madrid first and second. And if I show you my pad, I scribbled them out and changed them about half an hour before we came on to record. So I've got Barca in 1 and Madrid in 2, and I'm as shocked as you are. Betis in 3rd. I think they're the 3rd best team in La Liga. Atletico in 4th, and Athletic Club in 5th.
Ooh, very good. I have gone exactly the same as you in the top 4, Sam. I've nailed it, which means that none of us have put Real Madrid top, which is
wrong.
Pretty mad.
Which is wrong. It's clearly wrong. They are defending champions of both Europe and Spain.
Yeah, but me and Sam literally both had them. I was the other way around until late on in the day too. Like I just was swayed late. So
I didn't. I've always had it this way.
Of course you have.
But I was tempted just there after hearing both of you read them out to change it because I think it's actually wrong that none of us have put Real Madrid first. I think it's genuinely incorrect that we've all gone one way on this.
Who was your 5th team?
I think will help.
My 5th team are Villarreal, who I think are excellent.
Haven't considered a goal yet.
They're really good. They look really, really sharp this year under Emery, and I've been really, really impressed with them. I'm putting them in at 5th. And to be honest, if Atleti don't back their ideas up, They might well finish fourth, but I just think Cholo will get it done. I started watching the Cholo documentary on Amazon Prime, game by game, and it really is a big old insight into the window of that man's personality and character. Is quite something. But yeah, I just think Atleti will probably edge over the line. So yeah, I've gone Barcelona, Real Madrid, Betis, Atleti, Villarreal.
Again, Atleti is that squad quality argument that as bad as they can appear sometimes, they do obviously have some of the best players in the league. They appear to be saving Antoine Griezmann for the final stretch where he might be able to play start some games or whatever. There's always that potential that Joao Felix sparks into life, that Rodrigo de Paul could go and win the World Cup and come back on cloud nine and absolutely boss it. There's all sorts of things that can go right for Atleti, but I'm pretty down on them. I've just got the words uninspiring next to them in the notes. I think Betis are a better team, but Betis have significantly less depth, it feels like, than Atleti. So it does feel still like a gamble that Betis should be above Atleti in my list, but I'm going to hope that they have a relatively injury-free season and finish where they probably will end up deserving. And with Athletic, I think Valverde is a fantastic coach. They've no midweeks. I'm very optimistic. I think they will win a lot of games to 0. And it will be a recipe for consistent success. And I think they're going to get back into the European spots.
Yeah, no, it's very interesting to see how this one pans out. I mean, we've got to come back to this top debate. You've got to come back to the top table. Why have you gone Barcelona over Real Madrid, Sam?
I don't know. I think it's because I had the word depth written all over my notepad so many times, all reference to different clubs. I came back to reassessing La Liga, and the squad that Barcelona have assembled is absolutely absurd, and Madrid's is too. And initially I thought Madrid are champions until proven otherwise. That was my thought process going into it, and then right at the last minute, something has swayed me. I don't know what it is. Is it that maybe you would expect Madrid to always just have an eye on that Champions League?
I think that for me, that was
it. I don't know. I don't know what's working subliminally in my brain.
There's a few things, and definitely the Champions League should come into it because I think Madrid will expect to be in that Final Four. I don't think Barcelona can expect to get to that stage. I think if they do, then obviously they'll try to, but I don't think they will. Everything I hear is that is not the priority this season. The priority is to get back to winning La Liga and build from there, and anything else is a massive bonus. And watching their performances the last couple of game weeks and the way that they are recording wins, I think it makes sense that is the pathway that they take right now. And if they can knock Madrid off the top of the table and they can power home in La Liga, and then you build from there, and who knows what they do in the next transfer window. I actually don't necessarily want Barcelona to have success after the way they've gone about their business in this transfer window and the way they've managed to bulk up this squad. I don't really like it, but I can't argue with the strength of this side that Xavi now has at his disposal. They spent this time trying to get out Frankie de Jong and stuff, and it's Frankie de Jong's an unbelievable footballer who is going to be really important over the course of a season. Actually might be playing in a role now that suits him better than any other time he's been at Barcelona when he actually is getting proper game time. So I just think that with the addition of Lewandowski, obviously they have somebody finally that can step in for the Messi goals that were missing, somebody that can go head-to-head with Benzema. If Benzema doesn't score for Real Madrid, if he suffers an injury at any point, slightly worried about who steps up there for Real Madrid. Lewandowski suffers a little while out. I'm not as worried about Barcelona coming up with backup goal power because I think that they've got so many different options across the front line.
They've lost Martin Braithwaite now, so it's all gone Pete Tong.
They've got this lad called Ansu Fati who's having a comeback season this year, and I think it could be a pretty special one. I just think that there are so many factors with Barcelona, and initially, your brain is it's Real Madrid, and then you're is it though? Is it? And I think that the more you analyse the actual football and the players involved, the more tempting it is to say, actually, this is Barcelona.
So we've done the same thing. We've done the same thing.
Basically done exactly the same thing.
You can tell it's the perceived logic in our brains prevailing because we're both pretty pissed off with how Barcelona have conducted themselves this summer. I am. Like, I'm the same as you. Like, I don't hate them, but like, I don't really wish them success after the begging
Feels like
act.
a Real Madrid thing to do, to be honest.
Yeah. I don't really necessarily wish them that much success after the begging act they put on this summer and the way that they conducted themselves in the market and the way they treated certain players. Like, I'm not happy with that. I'm pretty sick of them, but I think they're going to win the league. And that's really all they care about. And that's all that matters.
It is.
I mean, look, when you come ultimately in Barcelona's defense, when you have a fan-owned model or a socios model where, you know, you can't have big money investors from various places around the world, lots of whom we criticize on a regular basis, sometimes you have to do different things to make the money work. Now, just because it's uncomfortable / it doesn't look right on paper doesn't mean that's any worse than some of the sources that other people are getting money from. I think it's probably worth pointing that out, that yes, Barcelona have taken a lot of criticism this year, and some of it rightly so, right, about the way that the players have been treated, etc., fine. But like, when they come from a model which, you know, looks after the fans, which means the fans have ultimate control of this club, instead of handing it over to money from various sources, some of whom, you know, in football, as we know, are not the cleanest in the world. And we're looking at it going, nah, can't do that, can't sell some of your economic rights. I don't know. It just feels like there's a lot of hypocrisy kicking around with Barcelona in how people view what they've done this summer.
I don't know if you can draw a line between the two, like on a lot of these counts. So the stuff that people get really upset about, I think is pretty fair enough. Like the suggestion that they are suing Frankie, you know, that's sort of like because he won't leave. That doesn't.
Nothing came of this. Is that very, very quiet as soon as the window ended?
Yeah, because the lawyers are probably on it right now. But
I'm very surprised if Frankie gets sued by Barcelona while in a season where he's playing for them. Let's have it right.
I mean, they've seemingly tried to do it while he was employed by them, so I don't know if it matters when the season kicks off. But I mean, yeah, like the way Barca have conducted themselves in public this summer has been very embarrassing indeed, and like that it has wound a lot of people up. Look, credit to them, they have this incredible amount of like pull and respect in the football world. People are desperate to play for them, even if they're trying to get Eric Garcia to come on an intern's free wage, you know, get your travel paid, but you don't get a weekly salary, all that rubbish. Like, fair enough, they managed to do it, they managed to survive, but it's not sat well with me over the course of 2022.
I feel like there's various things that we talk about in football that are probably worse than Barcelona pulling some economic levers. But here we are. We're in different stages of that decision making process, and that's fine. Right, that concludes our 5x5. Some calls across the board, some variance, mostly in Serie A as we expected. A bit of chaos at the bottom end of the top 5 in England as well. So lots to look forward to this season. If you want to send us in your 5x5s, you can do so on Twitter. You can tweet us at Rank Squad, and we'll have a look at all of them and see what we can make. And feel free to fire in your arguments with all of the things we've discussed as well, because I imagine there's a lot of people we've upset over the course of this 5x5. After the break, we have Melon of the Week and the Gibberish Ranking. Stick with us one more time. Champions League football is back and streaming on Paramount Plus in the US. 9 months of heart-stopping, hold-your-breath exhilaration starts on September the 6th, with the biggest stars, top teams, and craziest fan bases across Europe. Watch every match from the group stage through the knockout rounds as Benzema and Real Madrid defend their title against Liverpool, Manchester City, Chelsea, PSG, Barcelona, and more in football's biggest club competition. So don't miss a single sweat-soaked second of regulation time, stoppage time, and extra time, and stream every match of the UEFA Champions League live exclusively on Paramount Plus. Welcome back to Ranks FC. It's time for our third and final segment, and it's time for everybody's favourite part of the week. Dean Jones, who are you? And over to you.
It's time for Melon of the Week. This week's Melon of the Week is Steve Parrott. No, I'm kidding. It's not. It's not. Lovely bloke. This week's Melon of the Week is Chicharito.
Has to be.
Poor old Javier Hernandez. Look, LA Galaxy fighting for a place in the playoffs at the moment in the MLS, and they had a chance to clinch a win over Sporting Kansas City with a very, very, very late penalty in added time. It was 2-2 at the time. And Chicharito, to be fair, had already scored both goals for Galaxy in that game. His first was a really nice finish, and his second was actually a brilliant penalty.
Top bin, really good.
But unfortunately for him, he suffered what can only be described as a brain fart in the run-up to his second penalty. Because this is very un-Chicharito for me. And as he ran up to complete his hat-trick, he produced a Panenka that was so unconvincing that it shows it must have been a last-minute decision. It was among the worst attempts of this skill you will ever see. It was so weak and tame. I mean, Jack would have caught it. It was that easy.
I probably would have dived. I've always been a diving kind of keeper.
Their keeper could not believe his luck. He just took a step to the side and caught it. Chicharito couldn't believe it either, to be honest, and he held his hands up and he looked around at the sky and the fans and he put his hands together as if to say, sorry, I'm so sorry.
He sort of laughed as well, didn't he, a little bit?
It was a laughable moment and what else could he do? Like, it's ridiculous. It's so bad, it's ridiculous. It was pretty much the same reaction as when I saw the Steve Parish stuff. Yeah, it's a similar kind of reaction. You're like, I don't know what to do here. I'm just going to laugh because I don't know what I can do about this. It's out of my control now.
Yeah, it's a laugh in disbelief, wasn't it, from him? I think
it was. Yeah. And look, Chicharito afterwards, he says, "Look, I dared to take the shot, and the responsibility of not getting those 2 extra points falls on me. I accept it 100%." Well, yeah, you do have to accept it. A victory would have seen Galaxy move within a point of the playoff places, and the draw means that. I think they have 6 games left now to get back in there. Now, the chances are it is this man that will actually end up firing them into the playoffs. So I'm not going to doubt his ability here. Like, he's still brilliant. To be honest, Man United could still do with having this bloke. So, yeah, this isn't a toxic thing this week in terms of Melonish. It's just a proper, simple Melon of the week for a very, very good footballer, but someone who really, really fluffed up.
Yeah, it was bad, wasn't it? It was bad. It's like you could just see in his face. He's like, "Oh God, I'm gonna have to face this, aren't I?"
Yeah. Do you know what? I thought I already had this ready to give to another player in MLS. It was Drew Yearwood. Do you see what he did?
No.
The Red Bulls. He smashed a ball into a fan's face.
Oh yeah, I did see that. And then he went. I watched this last night. Actually, I didn't see that. I didn't know what his name was, but I watched him go and give them be like, "I'm really sorry," and like spend 5 minutes trying to basically console the fans.
Well, he went over. The thing was that he went over to try and say sorry to the fans they'd smashed a ball in the face of, in anger, basically, and they wouldn't actually even let him apologize. There was just one fan who stood like, "Don't come near us. Don't come near us." And it was like...
They're probably worried it might happen again. Scared for their own safety.
I felt sorry. In the end, I was like, nah, Chicharito beats this guy. This is Melonish.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Okay. That indeed is the gibberish zone, which seems to get shorter every week these days. Over to you, Sam.
Well, on the back of a historically bad weekend for refereeing, we've done extremely well. All podcasts, not to mention it, but I'm going to go ahead and ruin that perfect clean sheet right now. On the back of such actions, on the back of our refereeing body essentially admitting to major mistakes this weekend in the Premier League, which is very, very rare. They don't really accept liability, but this time it was so egregious and so bad, they had no choice. It's time to look at ways to improve refereeing standards. So I've put together a little top 3. Number 3, I believe as part of the referees' training protocol, they should have to play 1 season in goal at Sunday League level. This is because referees don't appear to know how to officiate on goalkeepers at all. It's been a consistent problem, hasn't it? They're either overprotected or underprotected, or they get stuff wrong. The aerial duels, people can claim clean headers, win clean headers out of the air, knock the goalkeeper ever so slightly, ball against. The Edouard Mendy thing at West Ham was an absolute joke. This is the sort of thing that really made me remember that referees and goalkeepers, it's just never really been a particularly cohesive match, has it? Maybe if we made them all play in goal, they'd get it a bit better.
Yeah, okay, all right, I can accept it. I mean, what I'd want to know is which Sunday League team is taking one of these people who clearly isn't a goalkeeper. Be like, Sunday League goals are going to go through the roof. Everyone's going to be scoring 50 goals a season because it's just one of those where you just shoot from anywhere, lads.
Yeah, it's part of my directive to improve Sunday League attendances. It's a nice byproduct. No, I mean, obviously you'd have to find the appropriate level. It would be tough, but I wonder if maybe playing in goal is the way to make them realise how they should be officiating them. At number 2, I'd like to introduce a Who Wants to Be a Millionaire style phone a friend for referees. Specifically, I think they should be able to phone Dale Johnson, journalist from ESPN, who seems to know much more about refereeing than any referee. If you look at his Twitter VAR threads on a Monday.
I think he seems to know more about refereeing than almost anyone on earth.
Yeah, he's definitely better at knowing the rules and officiating than any referee I've ever seen. So either Dale gets on there and he officiates all 10 games in a weekend, which sadly is impossible, or he sits in his own little room with a phone and he helps them out because they need the help, don't they?
So you're just suggesting he just goes to Stockley Park?
Or bring Stockley Park to him.
That is true. Make
Doesn't have to go there. He just needs a phone and 10 TV screens. That's it. That's all he needs.
That is it.
He is our saviour.
Okay, all right. What's number 1?
Well, number 1 is actually relatively serious. It's Dean's suggestion from Monday's postbox. I wanted to give him some credit. And for those that haven't heard, because obviously it's only for patrons only on the Monday, Dean was talking yesterday or Monday about
Never heard of him, mate. Who is he?
Oh, yeah. Who is he? Who is Dean Jones? Dean Jones, the man, the myth, the legend, was talking about having a clear-headed former professional footballer sit in the VAR room and try to help the refs make a call that lie within, Dean, how did you put it? Maybe the spirit of the game?
Yeah, I think it's pretty much that, yeah.
Yeah. Care to elaborate, please, and give us your suggestions for footballers who can help?
I thought this was your gibberish.
Yeah, I just think that you need somebody with a clear understanding of the emotions that are involved in football and also like the aspects of the game that are uncontrollable but are sometimes actually okay. And I think that by the only way you could actually bring that in is to have former footballers who have been in those moments themselves and have an understanding of the people on that pitch in that moment, what they would expect to be given as a penalty or to not be given as a penalty. And I use Matt Upson as one example of someone who I think is a very clear-headed and very good analyst at the moment of the game. I think he's played at the very highest level in terms of international and in the Premier League, and he has a very, very good reading of the game, especially as a defender. I think that's very important too. And I'd probably who was the other name I suggested on the Patreon? I can't remember who was the other name we put forward.
I said that we should have Dimitar Berbatov.
And you did say Berbatov, and I don't know that Berbatov's necessarily the right guy, but I do think you need to kind of reflect it with someone who's more of an attack mind, so that you might have someone with Upson who's a defender, and then you probably have someone who's played, I don't know if it's Alan Shearer, but somebody of that level who's been involved in the Premier League throughout its entirety, seen it grow, seen it change. Right would be too emotional. That's the thing.
That's why I like him.
That's why he should not be in the VAR room. So you need somebody who's, as I said, clear-headed, understands what it means in that moment, but also can take a step back and understand what the referee next to them is telling them about the rules. That is exactly how you rescue this situation. And it would also help the players on the pitch respect the decision making that's going on. Also, they need to speak about it afterwards. And you could put these forward.
No, see, I disagree with this.
No, because these footballers would be the people that
fine.
Then become the voice pieces because they have been brought up within the media circuit, and they understand how to explain these situations. They are the guys that would then go on to whichever station it is and explain the situation if they had to. Not all the time, but if there was a really confusing one like West Ham at the weekend, then those are the guys that part of their job is to explain it. Listen, in America, you wouldn't stand for this. You would not. This would be complete. What went on in the Premier League this weekend would be completely unacceptable in all the sports that they have over there, and people would be like, "This is ridiculous. You need to come out and explain to us what on earth is going on because you're actually ruining our sport and you're ruining the way that we watch it." And I think that the Premier League is heading that way because I haven't.
Well, Howard Webb's coming back, isn't he? From kind of implementing things. Well, he's the man who's implemented technology stateside, and it's worked in MLS.
Yeah,
and so he's coming back to basically bring that and be like, right, it's something.
But it's still a referee. It's still a referee.
Sure, but there's an element here of it works fine.
Okay,
in the Champions League, it works fine it worked fine in the Euros this summer. We've seen it be useful at at higher levels than the Premier League. It's just it's one of those that's been implemented so poorly.
They just got it so wrong. Yeah.
Also, I know it is a referee, Dean, but Howard Webb was our best referee by an absolute
he was. Yeah,
mile.
I was a bit harsh with that reaction. No,
getting him back is only a good thing because he was one of the good ones. So
he can't do it on his own, can he?
No, he's going to become head of the Pugmol, isn't he?
Yeah, we need to clone the guy.
That was more my point. It's like, well, he can't solve this on his own, and also like MLS isn't the Premier League, and that's the other thing. Like it's difficult to compare like how far the Premier League needs to come. Like, don't get me wrong, the officiating in MLS is better, and their reviews and stuff are better, but I don't know how we get that into the minds of all these people that have been already involved in VAR for so long, making these ridiculously tight calls and saying like this is clear cut when it's not.
We need a clone machine, don't we? And also that Futurama technology where you get like a head in a jar, so that when Howard Webb does sadly pass away one day, we can make him immortal, and he can just preside over our game forever and ever. Amen. So
Listen, I've got a big network of people I work with across football.
Have you got anyone in MO5 that can help?
Can we get Mimir in?
I'll call
the
on some of the
mythology
lads.
fella who was just like he was Odin's advisor. He used to carry him around as a little head and used to speak to him. I think he turns up in God of War, Sam. You might remember him from that little head you carry around to help you out. If Mimir could come in and help us out, the smartest man alive, then that would be.
See what I can do.
Yeah. So there you go. Put the refs in goal. Let them phone Dale Johnson from ESPN and clone Howard Webb and put his head in a jar.
Right.
Fixed.
Okay, there we go. Sorted out. Thanks for that, Sam. That was fantastic as always. And on that bombshell, we are going to call things a day. And we hope you've enjoyed 5x5 today. It's been a lot of fun. It always is a lot of fun talking through these things. There have been spills, thrills, and variants according to different people in this podcast, on this chat right now. We will see come the end of the season who's right and who's wrong. Defending champions Dean Jones, whoever he is, we'll look to retain his crown. So there's that to be said. And all that's left for me to do is say thank you very much to Mr. Sam Tyler Rancod.
I am fuming about that tiebreaker, by the way. You've not heard the end of this.
Okay, all right. Thanks very much. Thank you very much to Mr. Dean Jones. Just remind us who you are.
Forgotten. Dean Jones, that was right. Yeah, Dean Jones, yeah.
Thanks, DJ. I've been Jack Collins. This has been Ranks FC. We hope you've enjoyed this podcast. We'll be back, of course, next week. For now, though, enjoy the weekend. Enjoy all the football across Europe this week. It's been a real pleasure. Thanks for listening. Take it easy. Peace. Seriously, who is Dean Jones?
Explore today's must-have trends and innovative styles at Mrs. B's Clearance and Outlet. Shop one-of-a-kind finds in today's must-have trends. Explore wall-to-wall deals, furniture, flooring, mattresses, home accents, seasonal favorites, and more. Discover unique new home decor, pillows, accessories, and more. There's something perfect for your style and budget. There's new inventory every day at up to 80% off suggested retail. Discover the style and savings of Mrs. B's Clearance and Outlet.
Wayfair is ready to make your holiday season even more joyful. Shop all things home for you and everyone on your gift list. With an incredible selection of furniture, decor, and more. All with an amazing value that'll make this holiday season the best one yet. And right now, Wayfair is turning up the savings even more with huge deals and sales. Plus, thousands of items ship fast and free. Head to Wayfair.com or download the Wayfair app in the App Store to shop the latest limited deals so you can deck it all.
Hey parents, Greenlight is here to take one big thing off your to-do list, teaching your kids about money. With a Greenlight debit card and money app of their own, kids and teens learn to earn, save, and invest. You can send money instantly, set flexible controls, and get real-time notifications of your kids' money activity. Set up chores and put allowance on autopilot to reward them for their hard work. Then learn about the world of money together. Get 1 month free when you sign up at greenlight.com/podcast.